Hello everybody and welcome to the Inspire Freak private coaching recordings for your listening pleasure. I am Jana de Toy and I'll be your coach for these recordings. This is episode number 11. So today I just wanted to talk to you about mindfulness, focused attention, cognitively being aware of yourself, and meditation. So when we're talking about these concepts, I want you to realize that your mind has 3 levels. There is your conscious mind, which is your senses, your 5 senses, being consciously aware of what you're doing. Then you've got your subconscious, which is your brain patterns, the stuff that your brain does on autopilot. And then you get your unconscious mind, the stuff that your mind has recorded since you've been conceived up until this date. So training our minds expands our ability to detach from our thoughts and emotions and our bodily sensations enough to stand on the side and witness them. And this allows us to better regulate our emotions, train our brains to focus more efficiently, and teach our bodies to de-stress when we lose our focus. Mindfulness is not a religion. Although initially it was founded on Buddhist practices, some of its central teachings actually stem from ancient Hebrew scripture, and today it is taught in countless ways. Mindfulness is not trying to empty our mind of our conscious thought. Rather, we are learning to see our thoughts as passing mental events and respond to them or interpret them with greater accuracy. Mindfulness is the simple process of actively noticing new things. Living mindfully is remaining in a consistent state of conscious awareness, being aware of your 5 senses, your breathing, in which we are accurately aware of the context and the content of the information that's coming in through our senses. So in contrast, being mindless is compared to being on autopilot. So it's all the stuff we do out of habit. It's our functional fixedness, the stuff we're doing, like we're breathing, we're going into a pattern of behavior that has been learned through the years, like driving your car without really consciously being aware of doing it, writing with a pen and paper. If you watch a grade 1 write stuff, it's hard for them, but when you're an adult, you don't even think about writing, you just write. You're not thinking about the alphabet, you're not thinking about the numbers, you're just doing your calculations. So that is a kind of fixedness, a functional fixedness, or a overlearning. It's all our automatic and controlled processing. So mindfulness is all about having an increased ability to fully experience the reality of being human, the now, experiencing everything, the good, the bad, the ugly, and as a result, learning to be less reactive so that we can make wiser choices each day. So it is not going into your subconscious patterns and the stuff you do automatically, but rather making active choices on what you want, what you really want. Okay, so like I said, we've got our conscious mind. That is your mind that makes the decisions, that's here with me now, that's listening to me, that's taking in everything through your senses. It's your breathing, it's being consciously here with me now. Then we've got your subconscious, which is your patterns or your instinct, everything you do on autopilot, your subconscious mind. Then we've got our unconscious mind. So when we do something like sabotage ourselves, let's say you decided to go on a diet, but a few days in, your mind actually slips back into your subconscious patterns, and then you get angry at yourself for being such a failure. But it's not being a failure because you're not consciously choosing that. You're not fully aware of what you're doing. Your mind is just slipping back into the old habits, and then you say, oh goodness, I already ate that piece of cake. I might as well just give in and eat again because that's what I'm used to. That's familiar to me. And our brain was designed that way because it's an energy sparing kind of thing. Because your mind uses 20% of your intake calories to function. So your mind needs to put certain processes in autopilot so that it can function properly. So that's the way our brain works. Your mind actually looks at what do you do on a regular basis, and then it makes it automatic so you don't have to think about it. So in the beginning it's hard, like driving a car. It's hard when you learn, but once it's an automatic process, your brain doesn't think about it. You go into an automatic pattern. And that's also why we're trying to develop things like habits, because it's an automatic pattern that you're learning to your brain and your through your mental focus on that specific thing. So that's why we actually self-sabotage ourselves. It's just that we're not consciously aware of the decisions that we're making, and not grounding ourselves, focusing on our breath, focusing on our five senses, and actually focusing on what we're choosing to happen in that specific moment. So it's very interesting that change is not trying to do 5 new things until you can white knuckle it. Change is actually just doing one small practice every day that's new for the rest of your life, because that one small practice rolls into something bigger, and it becomes a natural habit, and then you make a new pattern in your subconscious mind, so your brain defaults into that. So that's what change is. It's just making new patterns, breaking down the old ones, right? So interestingly enough, people that numb themselves with addictions, like a food addiction, alcohol addiction, drug addiction, is people who actually feel unsafe in their bodies. So let's say in their life early on, they experienced something like sexual abuse, physical abuse, mental abuse, and they didn't know how to deal with it. So what they did is they just numbed out. They numbed out, and they rather went into their subconscious patterns, because they don't then have to consciously face and deal with that pain in the current moment. So we avoid our present moment, we avoid our past, and we avoid what's going to happen in the future by just either drinking, overeating, or using drugs, or any other addiction that you might find, because we don't want to feel the feelings, we don't want to go through that. And it's so relevant for instance, for a person that's on a diet. The moment you feel emotionally charged up, or something happens while you're on a diet, what's the first thing you want to do? The first thing you want to do is you want to run to your food, or you want to run to your drink, or you want to run to your drugs, because it's going to numb the feelings you're experiencing that you don't know how to deal with. It's too painful right now, so you want to numb yourself, going into your subconscious patterns rather than staying conscious and having to deal with the issue and the problem. So okay, so that is how the kind of self-sabotage cycle works. So with mindfulness, we are a little less tossed around by running away from what feels bad. We are less compelled to indulge in our desires for the things that give us that temporary high, or that temporary avoidance of what we're going to face right now. Instead, we see with greater clarity, and somewhere in that fuller human experience, when we're mindful, we connect and we tap into a deeper source of choice and motivation that is more aligned with what we want for our lives. So if you design your life and you're consciously aware of what you're doing, you make choices, and that is the freedom of choice over your life that I teach my clients, is you can choose by becoming consciously aware. So how do we do that? So that we're aligned with our integrity and values. We need to become mindfully aware, cognitively aware of our actions, our mental, verbal, physical actions at every moment of our waking life. But that is harder than it sounds, right? We need to bring our thoughts into captivity, because medical science has actually proven that meditation, and I'm going to talk about two practices that we're going to incorporate here to solve this problem for us, and that is being mindful and meditation. It's 2 different things. So let's talk about meditation first. Medical science has proven that meditation affects the changes to the brain chemistry, which allows the central nervous system to balance all the neurotransmitter levels in the brain. The balance of neurotransmitter levels can reduce or eliminate impulse control issues. So that thing where you see it and you want it right now, poor attention, and lack of self-control. So in 2013, the University of California, Davis, the researchers found that meditation can cut your cortisol levels, that is your stress hormone, by more than half. Okay, so we have 60,000 to 70,000 thoughts per day. But through the power of neuroplasticity, and remember we said neuroplasticity in episode 10, I think we spoke about that. Neuroplasticity just means that your mind is changeable. Okay, the ability of your mind, of your brain matter to actually change. Meditation fortifies our brains. Our brain's your command and control center of your brain, which is called the prefrontal cortex. So it fortifies that. It raises our emotional break point so that we don't unconsciously grab for our addictions, as like food, drugs, alcohol, to self-medicate and numb ourselves out. Medication also arrests the stress, the agent responsible for insulin resistance. Okay. So that's how we're going to do that, through meditation. And when I say meditation, you can start. Meditation has like two ends of the spectrum. On the one end, you have Buddha, Zen, that kind of thing, the spiritual side of meditation. And on the other side, meditation can simply be breathing techniques. So it doesn't matter on which end of the spectrum you are, whether you're in the middle, whether you believe in only breathing techniques, whether you believe in the spiritual Buddha Zen kind of thing of meditation. This doesn't matter. What matters is that you become still and you get grounded and you get focused, so that you can become consciously aware of yourself. So focusing on your breathing. Sitting still, not thinking about a million things, just focusing your attention on one thing, like just your breathing, will help you with that. So in my Master Mindfulness Practitioner course that I'm doing, one of the practices that we need to do is 45 minutes of uninterrupted, fully awake meditation for 6 days a week, and we need to do it for 8 weeks uninterrupted. So if you miss a day, you need to start over. So this is an advanced challenge for my advanced listeners here. It isn't easy. When I started doing this, it was very, very hard. I started with an app called Headspace. Now Headspace is more on the breathing technique side of the spectrum, where Headspace has got a few 10 minutes free breathing technique meditations that you can listen to. It's a free they've got 10 free, and then it's a paid app, so you can do that. And then I built myself up until I could do that 45 minutes uninterrupted, fully awake meditation for 6 days a week for 8 weeks. And I did that, and I did it with my ADHD. And I can tell you now that it significantly improved my ADHD. So, and you can also look on YouTube. I listen to Promises of God, which is a biblical scripture meditation, because I'm a Christian. But you can also check out Jason Stevenson, Michael Seeley. They've got great meditations. The other thing that I want you to do is kind of set an alarm once a day to just ask yourself, am I being aware right now? And by aware, you just say to yourself, am I just focus on your breathing, focus on your 5 senses, what are you seeing, what are you feeling, that kind of thing. So, and then you increase it from there. So you become mindfully aware throughout the day, and you incorporate a meditation practice. Okay, my friends, I don't have any more time. I hope this has been truly helpful for you and that you have a lovely day. So until the next episode, goodbye.